Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I'm back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. I am recording today's episode with one of the most iconic boot campers in all of KVC. His name is Bob Wells. Bob has been working out with KVC since August of 2014. I very distinctly remember our communication when he joined. I don't even know if he remembers this, but I think his wife, Kim, won a package from one of the school auctions. And
I did not even know that.
Yes. And you wrote me and said, can I use it instead? And I was like, absolutely. That's how I think we originally got you.
Here's what happened. Kim and our neighbor, who you may recall, Tanya Roselle, they joined probably in June or July of 2014. And I was planning on joining because actually I had known who you were from watching Cooper and Cameron play hoops all those years. I said, who is that woman with those guns? I was always amazed. You always had a tank top on or something.
I always came right from the parking lot. I always came right from boot camp on Saturday morning.
I was like, who is that woman? It's incredible. I want those guns. So I was like, all right, I'm going to join. However, Kim joined earlier and was coming along okay and was liking it. And then in August, Kim sprained her ankle. This actually goes along with your whole theme. I wasn't really ready to join, but when Kim hurt her ankle, I reached out. I said, all right, Kim's injured. Can I join? Planning on joining anyway. Can I use Kim's membership?
Okay, that makes sense.
So, of course, you said, okay, come on over. So I came over. It was August. It was 8 a.m. It was really hot. I had actually eaten a banana, which I'll never do it again. I ate a banana before class. I came over and I joined the class and we started working out. And after like 10 minutes, I was like, all right, I can handle this. And then you said, okay, warm up is over. And I was like, gotta be kidding me. That's the warm up? I'm going to die here. So I said, okay, I'm going to hang in here. Kept going. And I was moaning and groaning the whole hour. And Mo Katak, who he actually heard me moaning and whining. He was like, this guy is never going to last. He is not going to come back ever. He can't hack this. But
he didn't know, Bob Wells, what you were capable of.
That's right. He didn't. And I hung in there. And after class, I was like, oh my God, that was probably the hardest hour I've ever spent in my life. But I came back.
Yeah, you did.
I came back and I quickly met other friends. I met Erwin Kaplan, Shelley Bowles, Duck, Rochelle Neely, all of whom have long moved away. But they helped me and encouraged me. And also Jody and Coach Brian, who I had already known from the kids.
From Pinebrook, yeah.
At Pinebrook School. And he encouraged me and others who I met early on, and I just kept coming back. Now, what happened was the first year, I only came on Saturdays. I was honestly scared of the other classes. I was very scared of the other classes. I heard about them. I was like, man, let me try one class a week. And I didn't try Winter Challenge that first year either. I was like, oh, I don't know. This seems kind of hard, kind of hardcore. I spent 1 year of one class a week, and I was like, you know what? I probably lost 5 pounds. I want to ramp it up. So I joined Winter Challenge of 2016.
Yep.
I got on a great team, the Gold
Diggers, yes.
Gold Diggers. And we had a nutrition workshop with Amy Beyer. That changed my life.
Wow.
Amy explained how to track food. Mm-hmm. And I got an app. I got my Fitness Pal.
Yeah.
I've been tracking every day for almost 10 years now.
Insane,
I haven't skipped a day. I know it's crazy. I'm a little anal, obsessive, compulsive. But once I try anything and I like Kelly's boot camp, I stick with it, and it's really helps because one thing I've learned is even if you don't always eat the best food every day, as long as you keep an eye on what you're eating and how many calories you're eating, you're probably not going to gain a lot of weight. And I've kept my weight in a pretty small range all these years, and it's really helped me. As you know, I'm consistent.
You're incredible, Bob. And it's no small feat. So we'll go back to you starting an exercise program really in your mid 50s. You were probably 54 or 55 when you started. And you done a formal work exercise program before that?
Well, actually, that's very interesting. I had tried using gyms off and on over the years, but I never had a plan. And the other problem with gyms was that the people were not always overly friendly. That's one aspect of Kelly's that I really love. Probably 99% of my almost all of my friends who are here are from either in Kelly's or Kelly connected people. That's hundreds of people.
Yeah.
That's a huge community, all from Kelly's.
Yeah.
We're
well,
supportive.
I think that like attracts like. You're all the type of people that are willing to show up for your workouts. And even though you felt terrible your first time and Mo didn't think you were going to come back, you proved him wrong and you showed up. So there's some common denominators among our community, especially those that have been around for as long as you have, Bob, because remember back in 2014, 2015, we were only outside. So you were a different breed in that you weren't expecting like this beautiful studio or any specific equipment. You were just showing up for the workouts. So that was a specific type of people. And I think we had a reputation back then of being kind of crazy, like these crazy people that work out in a parking lot. So that we might have bonded a little bit over that as well, over being like, I don't think there's anything crazy about working out in a parking lot, but apparently some people do. But I'd love to talk about, Bob, you mentioned your weight, which is super important. We're all working to manage our weight. You mentioned learning from Amy and specifically tracking being something that's really helped you with success. And I always tell people tracking's really hard. Like, I'm not going to lie. Tracking's hard. You have to be very disciplined and dedicated to track. But I also tell them, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, it gets easier. Once you do it consistently, all your foods are in there. It gets easier. I bet you do it really quick.
Yes, it is easier. It is easier because now, I eat a lot of the same foods every day, yogurt, cottage cheese, whatever, coffee, whatever. And it's all right in there. I just have to hit a couple characters now and my foods pop up, and it's very easy.
You've seen the evolution of MyFitnessPal as well. I mean, there's so many things now that make it so much easier. I mean, it's an incredible tool.
Yes, it is. Like, even if you're traveling or eating out, it's going to have a food that's pretty close to what you're eating. And that makes it easier. The one problem I notice a lot of people have with tracking is, one, you have to be honest. If you ate a whole pie, you got to put it in. And the other problem is people probably don't want to see how much they're eating. But that's why it works. If you see that you're eating 3,000 calories every day and you know you can only eat 2,000 calories, that's going to help you to lower your calorie intake.
Measuring, kind of like you. I eat a lot of the same. I try not to anymore because I think variety is really important. So I really try to diversify and not get into ruts of eating something the same all the time, just especially with fruits and vegetables and nutrients and foods that my proteins kind of stay the same, but I try to be as adventurous as I can with my plant foods. But one of the things that I'll notice when I haven't tracked in years, but when I used to, anytime my weight went up, I would track. That would be my mechanism.
It's good,
to get it back into the range that I wanted it to be. And it was just I'd track until it got back, and I was willing to do that, and I was successful with it. But as soon as I would start measuring my almond butter or measuring my creamer, I'd be like, oh boy, I would tell you I'm having a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, but I'm having like a quarter of a cup, right? It's like you're so off. And I mean, I'm pretty good with food, and I like to think that I know what I'm doing, but it's always humbling to get out the measuring cups.
Yes, and having a kitchen scale, you got because it's
Yes,
crazy. Like an
that's
ounce of
huge.
cheese, you have to measure it because an ounce of cheese is. I mean,
Yep.
it's a cube. 1 cube is probably 1 ounce, and if you're eating a
Yeah.
block of cheese, it's gonna be a lot of calories.
Foods like cheese add up fast. Cheese, nuts, seeds, all those fatty
Right?
foods,
They can
they
be
add.
healthy. They can be healthy in the right
Yes,
quantities.
that's so true, Bob. What would you say the biggest thing, in addition to portion, what would you say the biggest thing you've learned from tracking for 10 years?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a great question. Learning how much calories are in a lot of foods. Like I always look at labels now, and I always ask myself if it's a food that's probably a treat. I always look at the labels and say, okay, is it worth the calories? Sometimes it
Yes,
is,
that's good.
but a lot of times it's like, you know what? I don't need this. Or I can eat a quarter. I'll eat a quarter of the cookie, and that's usually enough, and I'm happy eating the quarter of the cookie.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting about you too, Bob, is you are a
I
foodie.
do
You
love
love
food.
food. You do a lot of traveling, and you love to experiment, trying different
I love lobster rolls.
lobster rolls and different fun foods. And I love that you appreciate food and value food, and love the experience of food, and you're able to manage it in your day to day.
Here's one thing I do that probably helps me. As you know, I am a man of routine, and that's probably why a lot of guys are good in the army. They'll get up at the same time every day, whatever. Even though my job now doesn't allow me to come to as many classes as I would like to, I get up every day and I work out for an hour in my house. And when I travel, especially, because as you mentioned, especially when I travel, I like to eat. I like to go out to eat, and I can't cook or whatever. I don't cook anyway. But I like when I travel, and my family knows I will wake up and I'll go running because I know that I have to burn the extra calories if I'm gonna eat a lobster roll or a piece of a pie or get a fresh milkshake made with the local ice cream or whatever.
Fresh.
Anything, or pizza in Rhode Island. When I eat pizza, when I go to Rhode Island, I like to eat the pizza because it's great. And great pizza or bagels in New York. I get up and I go out. I don't care how cold it is. I go out every day and I'll run for an hour
Wow.
in Manhattan or whatever, or around the country.
Wow.
And then I'm happy.
So exercise is part of your routine. I feel like you go to a lot of classes, Bob. I wouldn't say you don't go to a lot of classes. Maybe not as many as you used to go to, but you're at the studio quite a bit. How many days a week do you go?
On weekends, I always go. A lot on Saturday and 7:30 on Sunday because I wake up early. I like to go to class early, and I'm gonna start coming on Tuesday evenings again, especially in Winter Challenge, because I love that class of all cardio. That class is great.
Yeah, you love cardio.
I love that class. I like to burn those burn all those calories and get into the red. That's another area of tracking I love is MyZone.
Yep. And the MyZone's great because you don't have to do any work. All you have to do is wear your belt, and you get so much data from your workouts. What would you say, you've been using the MyZone, Bob, since the very beginning. What would you say you've learned the most from using the heart rate tracking device, the MyZone?
Well, I have actually learned I've got a very healthy heart.
Great. You're a healthy man.
Which I kind of knew. But my family has a long history of cardiovascular problems. My brothers both have high blood pressure. Mine is perfect. I'm very thankful I don't have those issues. However, my cholesterol is borderline high. I take a very low dose pill, Lipitor. One of my brothers, he has to take like a horse pill Mine is like, tiny, very happy. It's borderline cholesterol.
Your brothers are in good shape, though. One of your brothers came.
It's kind of interesting. Sam is he's bigger. He was a high school weight man. He played rugby in college. He's always had had weight issues. He's bigger. He has to watch his weight. John, who is lighter, however, he smoked when he was younger. And one day when he was probably 28, he was outside. He was like, I have to cut this out. And he went cold turkey. He stopped smoking. He went crazy health-wise. He got into bike ride, into running. He's ran the New York Marathon probably 10 times. He ran it once under 4 hours. He's run a full Ironman, which I could never do. He swims every day. He lives in Maine. He lives on a lake. He swims probably a mile every day now.
Wow.
He realized his health was becoming an issue. And, and like me, my brothers love to eat. That's how we grew up, in a food household. But we all know that we've got to watch various aspects of our health. Like he's got to watch his blood pressure and cholesterol. I've got to watch my cholesterol. My other brother's got to watch his weight. And we all pay attention. We all pay attention to that.
It's great. I mean, it's paying attention and being aware is half the battle, right? Like knowing that these are things that I have to pay attention to. Do you think that's your why, Bob? Do you think health is your why? Or does exercise give you other feelings other than just helping with your?
Well, it's probably a combination. I like the sense of accomplishment in all aspects of my life, and like tracking maps and whatever. I also want to live a long, healthy life. I want to have grandchildren at some point. Not yet. And I want to watch them grow up. And if I could become a great grandparent, whatever. I mean, I don't want to grow old and be a burden on people. I want to keep working out like our colleague Lilia, who's 80 years old and who comes to Fight Club every week. I want to be that person. I've got a cousin who's 80 who runs every day with her daughter 3 miles every day. And I want to be that person. I don't want to be the old person in the home who sits around all day and be decrepit. I don't want to be that person.
Well, Bob, you motivate us. You really do, because when I know I'll be at the lot and I'll see you and over 10 years older than me, and I'm like, Bob's running, Bob's doing this. I'm inspired by people that are ahead of me in time or whatever it is. When I see them working at the level that you do, it really inspires me. And I think that you're just such a testament to consistency. I think consistency is so key. I don't think you overdo it. Like I know, running for an hour is a lot, but in general, I just think you're just consistent. I've never seen you do something crazy where you got yourself hurt or you were overtraining. I just think that daily movement is part of who you are now.
Yes. That's really the key, is getting up and moving around. I've only had one injury at KBC, and it was a sprained ankle on the ladder. I'm not going to happen to anybody. And that was probably 8 or 9 years ago. Now, one other thing I want to mention is most of my friends, Chuck, Brandon, Ben, Trung, Mo, sorry, whoever else I've left out. My friends are all younger than I am. And while they know I'm a little older, they kind of expect me to work out at the same level as them. And I really appreciate that. They know I like older music and all that, whatever. But when it comes to working out, I try to work out like I'm younger.
That's really great. And I think that there's a saying and, there's different versions of it, but basically like hang out with people that you want to be more like, right? And you're hanging out with people that are young, fit, athletic, and I think it keeps you young, right? And that's why I always say we want more young people in our studio. I'm like, I love that I've got someone Lilia's age next to a 22-year-old. I love that. I think that's great for all generations. They see the older generations. And that's one of the things I hear the most when people come to our studio. Even my kids have said it. They're like, Mom, I cannot believe how fit some of your students are that are older than you, Mom. And they're just impressed. They're just impressed. And I think it's great that we're showing people that what's possible. And I do think the secret sauce is consistency. And another thing you're very good at, Bob, and I think a lot of people in our community are, because it's part of how we define our community, is diversity. We don't do the same kind of workouts all the time. Sometimes it's strength, sometimes it's fight club, sometimes it's cardio, sometimes it's run club, sometimes it's different. So our bodies appreciate not having the overuse that certain disciplines will put on you. I do think that's why we've been fortunate with our longevity. And, now that I've had people like you and people that have been working out 10, 15, some close to 20 years, I see the value in diversity, and you don't get mentally burnt out as well, which I think is huge, because I think it's easy. And then if we get burnt out, if we're like, I'm kind of sick of my routine, there's another routine out there for you, right? You can change it up.
One aspect I want to mention, and it's to your credit, is how welcoming Kelly's is whenever somebody new comes to class. One problem I have, and other people have had probably with other gyms or other programs, they can be very intimidating. If you come to a gym and you're overweight, I know it happens at gyms. A lot of people look at people who come in who are heavy or whatever, and they go, "Oh, look at that person. That's gross." At Kelly's, the new person is always welcomed with open arms. You always tell people, if there's a running segment of a class, you always say, it's okay to walk. It's okay. And there are people who have been coming to Kelly's for 10 years who walk, and nobody looks at them and says, "Oh my God, look at that person. Come on. Why can't they run? Why can't they run?"
Exactly.
It's okay. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you walk.
You know why? Because they're there.
They're there, right?
They're there. They're better than 90% of the other people that aren't doing anything, right? They're there.
That's half the battle. And one aspect of that I mentioned to you I enjoy is one-on-one coaching in a class. I love working with like other people. Like, how loud I am, and you can always hear me encourage you. Like, who was that guy last week at the cardio class who I ended up partnering with? I had never seen him, because he comes to more evening class. Like, it's kind of funny how, though, there are people who have been coming to Kelly's for 10 years like me, who I don't know at all, because their schedule is like evening classes and I come to morning classes.
Right.
Anyway, this one guy who I was like, oh my God, look at him. I can help him out. He's actually pretty good on ball, and he was pretty good. His throws were hard. Other people I've noticed are always amazed how hard I can throw that ball. And I'm like, well, I'm at just one. I mean, everybody has exercises they're better at. Ball throws is one thing I'm good at. Ball throws. I just am. And I was encouraging him, and he was very good. He had no problems. He throws it hard. I was like, come on, keep it going. And I was really happy. I was very proud of him, actually. That was really good.
I think that's such a great thing to mention, because I do think that is our culture. I think helping, like, you love that. You love that you got to be partners with him and made him better at that drill. And maybe it was a drill he hasn't done as often as you had, but you had a little more experience, so you could coach him and tell him how to hold the ball, how to throw the ball, or it does. It feels good. And I think that's human nature, Bob. I think everybody loves helping other people. That's just how I look at the world. Like, if you can make somebody's day better, if you can help them with an exercise, if you can make them feel better about a workout, if you can make them want to come back to a workout, that's that's a feeling of goodness, right? So I do think that is such a huge part of our community, has a bunch of people that want to it makes them feel good to make other people good, then feel they good, then they feel good. And that's why our name is energy,
Yes.
right? Because we want to create that positive energy. I think that's such a big part of who we are. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, totally. I love that. One other thing I wanted to mention in class, I get energy, is seeing your MyZone up on the screen.
Yeah.
I rarely look at other people because there are other people who get up in the red, like often. Some of them, they just have, their hearts work in different ways. There are other people whose hearts are even more healthy than mine, who have a harder time even into a higher zone. I just like looking at mine, and if I'm in the gray, I want to get it up to blue. And if I'm in the blue, I want to get up to green, a green up to red. Up to yellow. Yellow up to red. I really enjoy that internal competition. That's part of it. In my case, I also have my Fitbit. I track my steps. That's actually another issue I want to bring up. I didn't have a tracker until it was Camp High Goals. It was Camp High Goals probably 8 or 9 years ago, and I was in Jenny's cabin, which was the steps cabin, and Jenny encouraged me. And up to that point, my goal was probably 10,000 steps a day. With Jenny's encouragement, I bumped it up to 11,000. And that's my daily. And ever since, that's my goal every day. That's another one of my trackers, my step tracker.
You're saying something that's really important, Bob. You're talking about layers. You're talking about how you started and you just came to Saturday. And then you added weekdays. And then the next year you did the winter challenge. You'd lost 5 pounds, but you wanted to lose a little bit more. So you started tracking. And then you mentioned that you got the MyZone and you like using that to push you and create intensity in your workouts. And the step, you're doing everything in layers, which is such a great piece of advice for people, especially maybe people that aren't doing anything right now, right? They're not consistent with an exercise program and they feel overwhelmed by I have to track my steps. Oh, I need to track my food. Oh, I need to work in zone 2. Now people zone 4. Now it's oh my God, I'm not spending any time. I never get to the rep. It's so overwhelming. You can't start there. You need to start right then you did, right before you were ready, right? Right. Because there was a sign that said, "Oh, Bob, wait, you can start now." So I do like that you shared that. And I'd love for you to share just a funny, Bob. Tell us, in all the years of KBC, give us a funny story.
Well, okay, this is kind of funny. Okay, kind of funny. It isn't really. It's crazy. Probably happened, this is probably last month. This just shows how crazy I am. Last month, this is probably a Saturday class, and I got up as always, I got up actually early, and I got to the lot at probably 7:28, and I got out of my car, and I went to put my belt on. I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't have it.
Oh boy.
I left it at home. There are other people, including you, who would just say, whatever, I'm doing the class anyway. It's a class. I'm going to work out.
Yeah, I couldn't leave.
I said, I need that balance. I wanted these MEPs. Drove home, probably 80 miles an hour. I got the belt. I drove back at probably 85 miles an hour. Got the class, and it turned out it was a class like the Red Challenge. It might have even been the Red Challenge. And Erica was like, aren't you glad you went home, got your belt?
It was the Red Challenge.
I would have been so mad if I had hung around and done the class, even though I would have had the workout. I would have burned the calories, but according to MyZone, it would have been as if I had laid in bed. And
okay.
That's just how, I know that's crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy.
But you know what? It's what motivates you. So it's not crazy. It works for
right.
you.
I know.
So it's not crazy. It's not crazy because it works for you. That's all that matters. And that's what people need to find, what works for them. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's people, there's people that are like, I'll never get in my zone. I don't like wearing stuff. I don't like tracking my heart rate. I try to be, the way I use the MyZone is I really try to only think about it when I'm doing a cardio class because that's what it's designed for, right? So like if I'm not getting MEPs when I'm doing a strength class, or I try not to get like worked up about it, but I do just what you said, exactly what you said. If I'm right below the next tier, there's something that I can do to push it a little bit more. And that's just that little extra. And if that adds up, like if every time you just work 1% harder during one segment of class or whatever it is, that adds up. I really think there's something to be said for that. So I do think it's important that people find some way beyond once they get to showing up, like, right? Like someone like you're nailing showing up. You're not going to go. You're doing that. You need an extra layer now. Like, okay, how can I enhance this? Maybe it's the amount of weight you're lifting. Maybe it's a measurement on your body or gaining a certain amount of muscle or anything like that. But I do think it's important that people have something like that they're tracking. It doesn't have to be everything, but something that's it's really for their own benefit because it's an affirmation. And I've been doing it, and I just did it with you the other day, Bob. I actually went back to your beginning numbers. I have numbers from you from 2016.
Oh, good.
From the InBody, and I looked to see because you've actually lost weight since then. You weigh less now than you did.
I've lost,
then, but your muscle, even though you're going from your mid 50s to your mid 60s, your muscle hasn't changed, which is, I don't think anybody can comprehend what a big deal that is.
I know. Yes. I mean, I have always heard all these years, oh, you're going to lose muscle tone over the years. And I'm like, why does it have to be that way?
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. It's a fight. It's a fight. I mean, you're really good about getting your protein and you've got good genes. I know you say you don't have good genes from like cholesterol and blood pressure and heart, but physically, you have excellent genes. You have very high skeletal muscle mass.
Yes. One thing I have got good genes on is my family on both sides has never had heavy people. My family, even though they always like to eat, and a lot of them died young because they ate a lot, they drank a lot, they smoked a lot. That's just how it was. My grandfather owned a well-known restaurant in Pawtucket, Rhode Island for years.
Oh.
And it was a bar too, and it was very popular. And in our house, when we moved in after my grandmother passed away, there were cases of liquor in the basement. Anyway, what my point was, my family, nobody was ever heavy in my family. A lot of them died young, but it wasn't because they were heavy. And fortunately, my father, he lived to be 85. His father lived to be 88. His sister, my aunt Marcia, lived to be 95, and I probably inherited their longevity genes. You know, they all had white hair. I'm gonna have white hair, but they always had hair. My father's family, the males had male pattern baldness. I don't have that, luckily. I've got my father's hair. He always had a nice head of white hair. His father, nice white hair, handsome man. He looks like me. I look exactly. I've got pictures of my grandfather, his youth. It's exactly the same face. It's crazy.
Strong genes.
I'm very happy how that worked out. And I hope I have their longevity genes. I probably have it. I'm very happy, but my lifestyle isn't at all like theirs. I don't smoke a lot. I don't drink a lot. I mean, I don't smoke at all, obviously. I don't drink a lot. I watch what I eat. Oh, actually, that's a good point. My mother died when I was in high school of cancer. of colon cancer. I was 16.
Oh, wow, Bob.
She was 54. She
Wow.
was a smoker. My father, he took from that. He got very health conscious when we were in high school and we were living at home. He was one of the first people to tell us not to eat cold cuts because nitrites. This
Wow.
was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
He also, this is pretty cool. He also had us eating tofu in the
Huh.
70s
Yeah.
as protein. And I've been eating it. I've been eating it ever since. This is crazy. I can actually eat it out of the package. I actually like tofu.
Wow.
I can eat it. I can eat it out of the package.
Okay, this is something I did not know about you. I felt like I knew all Bob Wells facts, but I did not know that you like tofu.
There's a lot you don't know, and I hope over the next years I'll
Yeah.
disclose more. Yes, he got us eating. He got us eating tofu and yogurt in the 70s, and he had
Very
us.
interesting.
He had us
And I think
watching.
that makes a lot of sense about your mom, Bob, because I think I wanted to ask you that earlier about where you and your brothers were, obviously you were motivated by not having bad health, but somebody along the way showed you how to have good health. And that was your father, it sounds like.
Yes. Now my mom was a tennis player, and she and her brothers, they all went to summer camp when they were younger. Their father, this is pretty interesting, and you don't know any of this either. He was from the old country, and he was very into making his family as Americanized as possible. This is actually interesting. His last name was Riegelhaupt, and it was spelled Riegelhaupt. This is pretty funny. He thought he dropped the E and he spelled it Riegelhaupt because he thought that was more American. I assure you it wasn't. But anyway, he sent my uncles to summer camp in Maine, like sports camp. He had a friend. He went to Brown. No, he didn't go to Brown. He had a friend in Providence who went to Brown, who played football for Brown University, who opened up a sports camp for boys in Maine in 1928. And my uncles were among his first campers at this camp. They were very into sports. And when I was old enough, and I was 8 years old, my grandfather, he'd already passed away, he had left money in a bank account. So when I turned 8, there was always $800 every year that I could go to this camp. So I had a bank book every.
Which is a lot of money back then, $800. Oh my goodness.
My parents made sure that I and my brothers, one thing, even though we were not rich, this is pretty funny also. We went to camp with kids who are more well off than us. But going to summer camp in Maine was very important to my grandparents and then my parents. And then when we had kids, our kids, Sophie and Cooper, I always wanted them to go to camp in Maine. Now, Kim had grown up in a family where summer camp, it was not an issue. It was not in the cards. And Kim really didn't get it. How parents could send their kids to camp for a whole summer away.
Right.
And only see them once. But when she finally went up to camp on visiting day, and we dropped Cooper off. Actually, his first summer, he only spent half of it. But we dropped him off. He was only 8, and and mom was crying and everything. But when she saw the camp and realized what it was about, she was like, okay, I get it. And
Aw.
and Cooper went for 11 years, and then Sophie went to the girls' camp for 7 years, and they loved it. Cooper, he loved it. He's got lifelong
Yes, that's
friends
right. That's
from
right.
camp. He visits his friends every summer at one kid's house in Maine on the coast. Actually, it's in Wells, Maine, actually.
Okay.
And again, even though my kids were probably among the less well-off kids, camp is even a lot more expensive now, and the kids are a lot richer now. I always made sure my kids could go to camp because it wasn't only the sports, but it was learning how to make your own bed and clean up after yourselves every day. Because a lot of those kids at camp have maids at home who clean up after them. I mean, our kids have to clean up, and going to camp actually helped them learn how to clean up. Actually, I've been making my own bed with hospital corners ever since I was 8. I was 8 years old, and Kim was always amazed how even on the weekends I would make my bed because it's part of who I am. I hate an unmade bed, and I got that at camp.
Well, I think that the lesson there is really in like what you learned to value, and camp, community, investing in things that are going to enhance your physical and health and your mental health are all very important. And I think that that's a really great thing to share with our audience. Is there anything else, Bob? I'll give you one more opportunity. If there's anything we forgot to talk about that you want to share with the audience.
Well, I could probably talk for another hour. Actually, one other aspect I would like to mention is keeping my mind sharp as well. Yes, every day I play word games. I play Wordle and Connections, and I've got friends who play them as well. I always post my scores every day. I play Spelling Bee every day as well. And the other game I play is I play Candy Crush. I've been playing it for probably 11 years, and I'm coming up on level 19,000.
And that means absolutely nothing to me. I've never played, but I have a feeling it's significant.
I'm probably in the top 1% worldwide of Candy Crush players.
What's the skill set of Candy Crush?
It's like one of these games where they have all these it's cartoony, and you just have to bust up your little whatever's on the screen in X number of moves. It is very complicated, but what's fun is they mix in hard levels and easy levels.
Oh.
Like years ago, I always remember this. I was at level 471, and it took me probably a month to get past this one level. And I know a lot of people would have given up on this, but I was like, you know what? I have to keep at it. I have to keep at it. And I kept at it, and finally I got past it, and now here I am, almost on level 19,000. And it's,
It's
fun.
amazing.
It's fun.
Bob, you are amazing. And I want to say thank you.
I'm not amazing, Kelly. I'm just
You are amazing. You are iconic. You are inspirational. You're a ton of fun. And I'm very grateful to have you as one of our oldest members of the KBC community.
Yeah, I like that aspect. I like that.
At 65 and a half, you got, you mentioned you have a strong history of some family history. Not everyone in your family lived a long life, and you're doing everything in your power to combat that, which I think is amazing. I love that your lifelong love of sports, you still show up as an athlete in class. You still show up as someone that wants to do your best and compete and get better, and using numbers and using the MyZone, all those things to help you enhance your fitness. I think that's amazing. And I love your story about your first class, how you were dying and you didn't think you were going to make it. And you're like, what the heck? That was the warm up. How am I going to make it through the next 50 minutes? But you did. You came back anyway. I think that speaks to your character. And I think that also speaks to you mentioning how important it is to you when other people come in, that they feel welcome, that they feel successful because you had that experience and you want them to see what it feels like after 10 years or 11 years of consistent exercise. So you're such a great example. You're such a great role model. Starting before you're ready, all of the things. You're right, Bob. We could talk forever because there's like 5 things that I want to talk about that we didn't even get to yet. But that's okay.
Can I come back?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Has anybody come back yet? Has anybody come back yet? Has anybody come back yet?
Amy Beyer's been on 3 times.
Well, okay. Well, then I have to come back.
Probably 4. I'll probably have her on again in January. But yeah. You tell everyone, Bob, that it's not bad to be on because a lot of people feel like it's like this big deal to be on. And I say, no, it's just fun. It's just a conversation.
Well, it goes quickly.
It flew. We've been talking for an hour.
I mean, I want to keep talking, honestly. You know, I want to keep talking.
I love that. That's the best. Leave wanting more. I love it. Well, I actually have to.
Yes, exactly. Yes, actually, you know what? Actually, that's another motto Kelly's ought to have is leave wanting more.
That is one of my mottos in life. Like
that should be like one of your class mottos.
Yeah. All right. We'll put that in there. We'll add that in. It's been so fun, Bob. Thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait to share this podcast episode with our community.
That was great, Kelly. I loved it. Fantastic. Okay, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.